All right, my lovelies, let's talk about notes 24. This is going to be on the beginnings of graphing the Cartesian coordinate system. So the first thing I want to do is to talk about what this looks like and what this is. So this is a combination of your x-axis, which is your horizontal, left to right, and your y-axis, right? That's your vertical, up and down. Where they cross, that is the point 0, 0. That is better known as the origin, okay? So when we graph points, we start at the origin. We're going to move left and right for our x value, then we're going to move up and down for our y value, and that will find a particular location in this coordinate. Now, these two axes, your x and your y axes, break up this plane into four what are called quadrants. So we have quadrant 1, better known as Q1. I think I forgot the N in quadrant. Hold on a second. Quadrant, yes I did. R-A-N-T. I fit in there. All right, so quadrant 1. In quadrant 1, x is positive and y is positive. Okay, and then if we're going to number them out, right, there's 4 of them total, you go basically counterclockwise, starting from the upper right here. We're going to go upper left. This is Q2. As quadrant 2, and since I can't spell quadrant very well today, I'm just going to write Q2. In Q2, your x values are negative, your y values are positive. Then we're going to go lower left. This is our Q3. We'll call that a 3. And then in quadrant 3, x is negative, y is negative. And last but not least, this is Q4. And in quadrant 4, x is positive, y is negative. And I've already kind of mentioned this, but I will put it off to the side. Every point on the Cartesian coordinate plane, okay, is an ordered pair. And every ordered pair is alphabetical order, so it's x, y, and of course it's a pair of numbers, so there's 2 of them. So ordered pair, descriptive kind of qualifier there. So x, y. So again, quadrant 1, everything's positive. Quadrant 2, x is negative, y is positive. Quadrant 3, we've got negatives. Quadrant 4, x is positive, y is negative. Any point that lies on either of the axes is not considered to be in a quadrant. So the origin is the origin. If you ask me what quadrant the origin sits in, it doesn't sit in a quadrant. It sits on the axes. So the quadrants are only for points that are in the actual quadrants, not any points that are on the axes. All right, so that is our start here. So for problem number 1, it says to graph these points on a graph. Well, we don't have a graph, so I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to sketch out a graph here. Now, the program that I'm working with actually snaps straight lines if I hold it long enough, which is kind of nice. And I'm just going to do little tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll call that 10. Or we'll call that 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other 3 parts here, right? So on the positive y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll call that 8. And there's 4. I'm not going to sit here and, take a ruler and try and figure this out perfectly. In fact, if I liked it more, I would go out, find a graph on the internet and steal the picture and slap it in place. Let me do the negative x-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's negative 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, negative 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So negative 5. 6, 7, 8. Sure, we'll call that negative 8. I'm not going to sit here and measure and make sure it's absolutely everything is perfect. That's not the idea. So we've got these 4 points, okay? And the W, the X, the Y, and the Z, those are the point names. So this is point W, point X, point Y, and point Z. So each one of these has an X and a Y value, right? X, Y, X, Y. And basically what we're going to do is follow directions. So for point W here, we're going to start off at the origin. We're going to move 4 places to the right because right is positive x's. And then I'm going to move 2 places up because that's positive y's. If you want the little reminder, right, your horizontal is your X, your vertical is your Y. Now notice that this Y is the lowercase y, right, the Y axis versus the point Y. So just, be aware of that. Okay, so starting from the origin, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to the right. That's positive 4. And then up 2 spaces. And that's going to be that point. And I'm going to put a little point there. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting it really close to where I want to be. Yeah, that's pretty good. So ignore that little black line that popped up. That was the system I'm working with trying to help me out. And it wasn't terribly helpful. So I'm going to label that point W. Right, that is the location that point W is at. That is 4, 2. Okay, so then I've got point X here. As always, I'm going to go back to the origin. So here's the origin, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 spaces to the left. That's negative 3. But then 5 spaces in the positive Y, so that's going to be up. 1, 2, 3, there's 4. We'll call that 5. I'm going to change my point here, and I'm also going to change my color. We'll call that point X. Make sure it looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, so that's negative 3, positive 5. And then I've got W. No, I got X, I got Y. All right, so let's get to the next point here. And that's positive 6, negative 7. So starting at the origin, right? We always go back to the origin for the start. Origin, it's where it originates from. So positive 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then I got a negative 7 here. So all the way down to about, I'm thinking about there. Sounds good. All right, and we'll put point, let me double check. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay. So there's that point, which was point Y. Okay, and one more point here. We've got point Z, negative 2, negative 5. Let's see. I'll go pink for that one, and let me grab my highlighter here. Okay, so negative 2, so that's going to be to the left on the x-axis. That's negative, and then negative 5 on the y-axis means I got to go down. Now, that's point's actually going to be right on that negative symbol. That's okay. So I'll put a little point here, and I'm going to call that point Z. So problem number 1, right, we've graphed these points, we've labeled them, and yes, part of graphing is labeling our points. There's nothing else I'm asked to do here with these, so that's it. All right, we've graphed those points. Now, question 2 and question 3 are asking about quadrants. So this particular point 9, 5 is in what quadrant? Now, we just talked about quadrants having particular x and y values. Are they positive? Are they negative? Now, if you've completely forgotten it, and you're a visual person, kind of like I am, if I look for the point 9, 5, so that would mean I need to go positive 9 on the x and positive 5 on the y, that point's to be somewhere here. Now, notice I'm not being real super specific about gridding out all those other points. I just want to get the idea of where it's at. That point is in the positive quadrant 1. All right, so that is in Q1. Yes, that's my weird little Q. Let's see. What quadrant is the point negative 5, 7 in? All right, well, let's see. Negative 5 on the x-axis would be to the left. Positive 7's up here somewhere. So we got a point right there. That is our lovely Q2. Okay. I know I've already talked about this. What's another name for that point 0, 0? That would be the origin. Okay, again, everything originates from there. Origin. Okay, good. Making sure I spell it right. All right, and question number 5. In quadrant 2, are both the x and y coordinate negative? Well, we just talked about this being a value, right? There's quadrant 2 right here. And in quadrant 2, we said, well, no, x is negative, y is positive. So are both the x and y coordinates negative? Nope. You can just simply say, no, they're not. Okay, there's nothing else to answer there. Now, in class, we talked about question number 6 being optional. It's not something I'm going to test you on. I am going to explain it so you understand kind of what's going on, but not on a test. So If you want to go ahead and stop the video here, awesome. Let me know if you have any questions. I am going to keep going, though, for question 6. Okay, so question number 6 asks us to graph some points. So I'm going to draw myself a lovely little grid here. There we go. And I say little, and I'm clearly not little in the slightest. Okay, so I need to get to, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right. I'm going to need some negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe negative 4 was my lowest. And a couple of positives here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And okay, now nothing's on the negative side. I'm already looking at these ordered pairs to see what x values I'm dealing with. So 3, 9, and 5, I'm good with all those being over here. And then for my y values, negative 4 and 6. All right, I'm good there. So if I want to graph these, which clearly I need to graph these, I will use bright pink. And then, okay, so my first point is at 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then negative 4 is right there. So that's, it's pretty good. Okay, so that's 3, negative 4. And then 9, negative 4. So I'm going to start here, right? Okay, go all the way over to 9. And then down to negative 4 here. So let's see if I can get that. We'll call that right about there. It's a little bit high. So let me move that down just a touch. All right, line this up just a little bit better. And last but not least, I've got the 0.56. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I need to go all the way up to positive 6 there. Okay. Connect the points to form a triangle. All right, so connect here. That's one side of the triangle. Connect here, another side, and of course connect the bottom. Ta-da, I have a triangle. Okay, and find the area of the triangle. All right, so area of a triangle. The area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Now, what's the base? The base in this case, actually, let's talk about base and height. The base and the height in a triangle have to form a right angle. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any right now, I don't think. But what I could do is go, this is my base, okay, this bottom piece right here. And then if I draw straight up through here, right, those two will form right angles. So those would be my base and my height. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to do that in highlighter. So this edge right here goes from positive 3 on the x-axis to positive 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, which means this edge is 6 units. Okay, so if you want to see it again, we went from positive 3 to positive 9. So positive 3 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. There's my edge of 6. I'm going to do the exact same thing for the height. All right, there's my height. So that's, whoops, take the ruler off. Let's try that again. All right, that is perpendicular to that base. So that's what I need for base and height. And if I measure that out, I'm going from negative 4 to positive 6. So negative 4 to positive 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units tall. Okay, so that height is 10. Again, how'd I get that? Starting off the base down here was at negative 4 was my lowest, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units to get up to the positive 6, which is my height. All right, so after all that counting and the weirdness, the area is going to equal, there's my equal sign, 1/2 the base of 6 times my height of 10. All right, so here's the thing. Keep it simple. Half of 6, right? 1/2 of 6 is 3. And then 3 times 10, my area is 30. Now, I don't know what units this are. They could be inches, meters, miles. I don't know. But because we're talking about area, I'm going to call it units. squared, or you could use square units. Area is always a square measurement, whether we're talking about square feet, square miles, square millimeters. It's a square unit because how much it takes to cover something. Okay. All right. So that was lovely number 6. Kind of a weird question. Remember, if this one you're looking at going, that's a lot of stuff going on. You're right. It is. I'm not going to test you on it right now. So if you have questions, let me know. But understand it will not be part of your actual test. All right. That's where I'm going to go ahead and stop this video. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and I'll see you in the next one.